Good morning and a huge warm welcome to the Carnation Craft Studios. We are live and it is wonderful to have you here. We've got two incredible shows for you today. We're starting off with Wondrous Wildlife, which is just insanely pretty, and then we're going to take you on to the USB at 12 o'clock. The brand new launch was yesterday. We're launching live today. We love launch day. We're launch. We're launching live today at 12 p.m. Just to let you know, you can get ahead of that game. If you go to the Carnation Crafts website, do go and ferret. They've got a new website and it's absolutely awesome. There's a tab for you that's called New Releases. You can see it just there on your screen. You can get the Wondrous Wildlife collection there as individual pieces or as the collection itself. So do go and have a look at that. Make sure you get everything that you need. But you'll also see next to it the Blissful and Eternal USB, because all of Carnation's new releases will now be under that tab. That gets you ahead of the game. It means you don't have to go searching on numbers or anything like that, because it's all listed for you. Obviously, the older collections you can still do by number, QR code, all of the good stuff that we've got for you. But that website's there to really hold your hand, take you through the process. And there's now a full USB tab as well, so you can get to all the bits that you need to get to whenever you need to get there. Get ahead of that game on the USB though, because it is extraordinary. However, let's talk about Wondrous Wildlife, because this is the brand new expansion pack for Nature's Grace. It's absolutely stunning. We've already sold 20%. You guys got ahead of us anyway. It's so pretty and so beautifully done. And you wait till you see the DT samples. Just inspiration beyond. It's beautiful. We've got these gorgeous animals coming through, this gorgeous verdant kind of greenery that comes through, these plants that are coming through, and you'll see it all as we go through the boards. There's 4 dies for you. There's the Graceful Heron, the Proud Hare, and we've also got that Curious Fox. There is another die as well, which has got some florals. We're going to show you that on the board so you can see everything coming through and you can get your crafting mojo on, because it is extraordinary. Let's start with your Curious Fox here, which is just, look at his face. Wonderful detail, isn't it? You see all these cut lines coming through on his fur, that beautiful chest that comes out. We can puff that out, obviously, with all of the cut line detail that we've got here. Now, I just want to very quickly talk to you about the dies that you get for these. You've got your base lay here, which is absolutely stunning. You've also got your little dies here going round. Can you see the split die? Okay, so we've got a tiny little gap here and here. These are not broken dies. I've said this before, but for those of you who are brand new to Carnation, who might not be familiar with what a split die is or why it exists, we're going to talk about that in today's show. We're going to look at those split dies and how they work, so that you know when you get it home exactly how to use the collection in different ways. It doesn't mean that I can't use that as a full die. I can just as simply put them together and cut it as one piece, but it does give me the options to have an over the edge card, and we're going to discuss that in greater detail and go through it for you. All of these stunning florals and your decoupage elements. Again, Nick and the team coming in strong, not only with the artwork, but the fact that our decoupage is independent or as part of the actual decoupage piece itself. So I can use it here, of course I can, but I can then use them as individual elements. Really strong work, isn't it, from Nick and the team, as always. When we've got those elements that we can use independently, it just gives us a lot more options. So that's your Curious Fox. We're then going to take you over to your Graceful Heron, who is just a delight, isn't he? That tall, slender element that we've got that's just so pretty and so beautiful. And again, we've got your split die coming through on your matte layer here, and that allows us to have, again, that over the edge card. If you're unfamiliar with split dies and it's not something that you've worked with before, prepare yourself to walk into a whole new world of card making. When we're talking versatility, listen, Nick and the team don't have to give us split dies at all. Of course not. And they don't always, but when we have them, because I can put them together to create one piece, or I can separate them and have that over the edge card base, I've already got 2 card bases without even trying. It's automatically doubled my options. That's what we're looking for, that versatility, these wonderful decoupage elements, so I can mix in all of my florals and have something completely different. We've got the purples and the yellows. We know they're best friends on the colour wheel. So that's your Graceful Heron. From there, we've got your Proud Hare. He is a dream, isn't he? Look at those beautiful ears that are coming through. I love hares. I think they're just stunning creatures. And I love the crescent shape of these florals that come through. It's almost the moon gazing hare, isn't it? You've got that sort of sense of the moon gazing hare very much seated in here. Two of these cut together. Remember, we've got those mirrored vignettes. I can turn them and have them both ways, so I can have them facing. And if we get chance in demo to do 3 demos, that will be my final demo. I don't know if we're going to have time to do the 3, but we will look. Beautiful colours. So your pinks, your purples and your yellows, you could not get a happier combination on the colour wheel. And that means you're going to have these delightful finished images on your cards, so your artistic skill comes through. Let's call those tones though with these stunning, gorgeous wildflower corner, which is just beyond pretty. So not only do we now have the little corner itself, always important, use it on any card, but then we've then got your individual buds. So we've got your tuck-in elements, which are just important, bigger tuck-in elements, so we can bring them all together to create that bouquet, and then your individual either decoupage or individual pieces. Pair them in with your pinks, your purples and your yellows. Imagine the bouquets that you will make, because they will be extraordinary every time, because it's what we're looking at when we've got that colour combo match. Really, really pretty, really delicate. So that's your wildflower corner. And this, my friends, is your Wondrous Wildlife, which is just beautiful. Are you okay, Taz? Whew, whew. And so you've got your elements here, your Wondrous Wildlife 240823. $69.99 today. It should be $79.99. Thank you very much. I'm assuming that's deal of the day, is it, Taz? So it is only live until midnight tonight at that price, at which point it will go back up to its original price of $79.99. Wait till you see what you can do with it. It's actually a collection in itself, isn't it? So as much as it's an expansion pack, it is a full collection and it is glorious. The crafting you're going to be able to do with this, just beautiful. If you decide that all you want is maybe the fox or the heron, like we say, you can absolutely go to the Carnation Crafts website, which is www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. You can jump on there and look at new releases, and there you'll see your individuals and the collection as a whole for today. So you've got all the elements that you need, or you can go to the USB, like we say, which we'll be coming back with at 12 o'clock. Let's have a look at what the DT team have been doing with this stunning, stunning collection, and show you where they've been. Janine here coming in strong, of course, with your beautiful hair. I love the hair, the Proud Hare. Remember to get out your other card shapes from Carnation too. So many options and opportunities for you to craft. If you want to come in just simply, look at that. His face. The artwork is evocative, isn't it? And see here where Janine brings in the yellows, the purples and the pinks. So we're working in a combination with those florals. It's not that they're independent of each other, it's that they work as a full combination. Beautifully designed and beautifully done. We can then bring in, I just want to show you this one because I think it's absolutely stunning, from Fiona Abbott here. Just let me get it together. There we go. Can we just, for a moment. It's like going to a school of card making when we see stuff like this. This obviously moves to wherever you want it to be. We get the perspective, we get that gorgeous dimension in the card making. Stunning, stunning elements, right? Kudos there, obviously, to Fiona, to all of the DT team who just work ridiculously hard and make wonderful pieces. Let me just come here. We're working with the easel cards. How pretty is that? How absolutely wonderful. Let's bring in this glorious fox. Look at him. Again, dimension. One of my favourite nesteds as well. Just bringing in that crescent moon. We've got so many samples. I honestly, Taz and I were like, woo! Beautiful. You see how we're utilising these corner elements here and we're cutting into them. It's important to remember the snippability of Carnation as well, because that in and of itself gives us more versatility than we started with too. Because we can snip in, we can add the tuck-ins. That's it where it's being cut into. That's it where it's in its full glory. Can you see the difference here? So we're snipping, we're working out what we want to bring in, how we want to bring them in, how we want to change things up. Vera Bow here coming in very, very strongly again, where we've got the two elements. Over the edge card making. We're using the split dies here. Look at that. Beautifully done. So always think about, whenever you get a carnation collection home, carnation dies home, the thing that sets them aside from those other companies that provide is how many different ways you can use it. So when you get them home, it's really easy to go, well, this is a die, and we think as card makers, don't we? This is my base die, my mats and my layers. But actually what we do get is something that's much more versatile than that. There's always a million ways to play with carnation dies, and that's the imperative of it, isn't it? We can play and we can change, we can use them in so many different ways, and that's why we get so much value from them, because they're incredible. This is 240823. It's the Wondrous Wildlife collection. Brand new today, guys. You're getting in ahead of the game. There is obviously a discount because we are on the deal of the day. Takes it down to $69.99. It's going to go back to $79.99 tonight at midnight. So now's the time to jump on it. Use your QR code at the bottom of the screen there. Take a photograph of that as such, and it will come up with a link. You're just hovering with your camera for those of you who are unfamiliar with QR codes. It takes you straight to it, but the website makes it so easy now. It just is a simple process for you to get to where you want to be. Right, let's have a look at those over the edge pieces. You all right, Miss Taz?
Yeah, I thought we'd just say hello to all the kind people who have commented in. So over on Facebook, we've got Amanda who's saying morning, Linda's saying morning, Linda McLeod's also saying good morning. We've got Rachel who's saying good morning, Carnation team. Her order's on its way.
We like.
And then Linda's very kindly said, Nick has captured the wildlife perfectly. He's a clever sausage.
He is a clever sausage.
We've also got Pearl who's saying good morning. We've got Jem Bagshaw Evans who's saying good morning.
That's my sister. Good morning in Australia to Miss Gemma.
Looking lovely and tanned. We've also got Tracy who's saying good morning. Then over on YouTube, we've got Linda Poland, we've got Amelia, we've got Debbie, and we have got Jenny West, all saying good morning.
Good morning to you all. I hope you're all okay and you're having a wonderful morning. It's a lovely day. It's a bit rainy and a bit miserable outside. Doesn't mean we can't have sunshine inside. Carnation's going to give us sunshine every single day, and so we can always take joy in that. Over the edge dies, how do they work? Well, they work in such a way that we create a different front. Under normal circumstances, if we were cutting a card base, that would be the card base, of course. But when we're working with a split die, we get to create these edges that we wouldn't normally have, okay? So you've got this wonderful piece here, and they allow us to create in different ways, like we said. Now, I'm just going to take this one and just work with it for a moment. So if I take this out of its packaging and I look at my outside die, when I take it out, what I'm going to get is a split. Okay, it's not a complete piece. Now, what I mean by that, for those of you brand new and you have got no idea what I'm talking about, and maybe it's you first time using a die, that's a complete die. That's a split die. Now I get both pieces, so if I want to cut it out as a solid piece, no problem. I'm just going to put them together. You can use some tape as you put it through your die cutting machine. It's still going to give me a solid formation, okay? But as soon as I want to do an over the edge card, I can choose to. So we get this important change, and that gives me more variation with my card making. Makes the card, as such, the collection go that little bit further. I'm going to put this one back because I don't need it, but I am going to work with that extra piece here. And I'm going to show you quickly how to do the split dies, so you've got all of that valuable information, and as soon as you get this home you'll be able to work with it. Now I've got some 350 cardstock. I am always an advocate of using a 350 GSM for your card bases. It's important that you have that solid piece that's not going to waft over when somebody walks past it, and it will hold all of the dimension that we have with a Carnation card. Now I've got my base cut already, and you would do this with a scoring board, not the way I'm doing it, but I'm just showing you how to do it. So once you've got your score line down and you've burnished that down, I've now got a fold in my paper, okay? So I know where I'm working to. So once I've got my score, so this is your card base, I'm going to use my split die and I'm going to place it onto my edge, right? Obviously you're going to work with it the right way around and do all of the elements you need, but basically what we're doing is forming on that line your cut. Does that make sense? So I'm working to my base point here and I'm coming out over that edge. So on this one, what I've done is obviously cut it to the right size. It's just getting the top piece where you want it to be. All right, so I would use some tape. Let's bring out the cat. Bring out the cat. Place it down so you've got it up to that point, and use a little bit of tape. Whenever you're using your tape, I always try and get rid of a bit of sticky off it, but just remember to put it on your surplus, the bit that's going to get cut away. If I try and put it too much on here, it might tear, and I don't really want that to happen. So I'm just going to hold it in place a little bit. That's all I'm doing with that. Then what I'm going to do, obviously, is put it through my die cutting machine. I'm using Cut Tidy. Cut Tidy gives me that extra shim. I love Cut Tidy. I tend to use it constantly. It's not something that I sort of choose whether or not to work with. I just use it. Cut Tidy is an extra shim. It's really good. It gives me a nice clean cut, and Carnation have it on their website. So it's just an extra piece to give you a hand when you're cutting. And now what I need is electricity. Always useful. So let's pop this through, and we're going to use that split edge. You all right, Taz? If I got enough electricity. My wires are a little bit dodgy. You all right, Taz?
Yeah, sorry, Stacey over on Facebook's just made me laugh. She said, sorry for all the separate orders. You keep bringing up the best stuff.
I know, it's frustrating. We're fine with it. You fill your boots. It's better to spend your hard-earned pennies on things where you know the quality is going to be insane, the artwork is going to take you through, and the pieces that you buy are going to take your crafting to the next level. That's why we buy Carnation, and that's why we stick with it. Right, if I take my split die off, now you can see on this element, again, you would utilize a cutting machine or something along those lines, but I'm just going to snip down. So obviously you would have scored properly, but I just wanted to give you a little show. So you're going to cut it properly, but that's now an over the edge card base. Okay, so I'm now working with that. This panel can be as long as you want it to be. Depends what you're doing on the front of it, right? So you can keep it really like elongated like that, or you can cut it down and have it exactly the same size, up to you. So again, more options every time we craft. And it's really important. Best advice I can give you as a demonstrator in the industry. When you buy something, look for how many different ways you can use it. That's where we get the economy. That's where it becomes really important to purchase in a way that's more useful for us, right? And that's why I advocate Carnation so much, because I want to play in a million different ways. I don't want to be told what to do. I want to be able to play. And that's why it's important. Right, let's get into the actual bare bones of this. I'm just going to place that there because I'm going to lose it. Taz, can I not lose this? Can I hand it to you so that gets placed together? Taz knows me well enough. Let's talk mats and layers then, and we'll start building up. I've used some of my perfect papers here. I've chosen one that's a nice sort of somewhere between a purple and a lilac, because I know I'm going to be able to bring it in with the tones that work on the heron. Now, as you all know, when we do the expansion packs, we don't have a specific set of perfect papers. You've got perfect papers at home. Again, when we talk about Carnation, The reason that Carnation works so well is Nick and the team have a way of picking colours and hues. That backing paper that I've got, that perfect paper, is nothing to do with this collection. And look how beautifully my tones go. Okay, because I can always choose a perfect paper because Nick and the team use a certain almost hue, if you like, going through their perfect papers. So I can always find a way to utilise that. So I've got that sitting there. I'm going to bring in now my next matte, and I'm cooling my tones with a white. So I'm creating that frame and that border that's just so pretty. Now I can bring this over. I was using a 1mm tape if anybody is interested, just to make sure that it's not too bulky, because I still want the card to close, but I do want some elevation. So we're working on a 1mm. Just bringing that down. And again, I'm working with my perfect papers. So I've cut that using the same elements. It's just the smaller one down, and I've just chopped a little bit off the edge there so it seats nicely. And I'm just going to give myself that kind of drop shadow element as such, where it just seats on that white. All pretty and done. Beautiful, right? Really, really pretty. Now, I've got my elements here and I'm going to start bringing them in. So there's my yellows. Look at the play with the purple. We're cooling it with the white, and I'm going to cool it a little bit more with some white florals too. But that play is there, isn't it? It's already seated, those purples and those yellows coming together. Let's put down a little bit of wet glue here. So I'm using Carnation's Everyday Glue. Just let me get this one, the heat, Taz. There we go. Bit of wet glue down. And then just adding a small amount to those pieces. And you can decoupage this completely up. I'm not going to because of demo time, but obviously when you're sat at home, you've got much more time to sit and play. Here's a question while we're crafting. When you're at home making a card, as a rough estimate, how long does it take you to make a card? Because obviously in demo, we whiz through them, don't we? We get 5-10 minutes to demo a card. That's our allotted time. If I'm sitting at home and I'm playing with Carnation cards to send one out to a loved one, it would normally take me usually about an hour to make a card. It's the difference that we have in time, isn't it? So I'm curious as to you guys and how long you spend. Right, let's go in just with a ball tool very quickly. I'm going to base these in a cup upwards so that I get that full dimension. I won't spend too long on them, but just a little swirl around just to give it a bit of extra shape and visual cleanliness. And then I'm going to tuck them in. We've got these tuck-ins, let's work with them, okay? Now all I need to do with these is put a tiny amount of silicone gel glue. Just take it and grab, that's it. We're just going to poke them through those little gaps so they just sit forward. And we're cooling the tone. So I've got my purples and my yellows. I'm adding some white in the same way I added white here. Just visually cool it down. Use your pokey to lift up where you haven't got the adhesive. That's it. Let's play and tuck. Look how pretty they are. Now, if they start, I want some smaller ones down the bottom. So in order to get that, I'm just going to snip into these. Now, for some of them, I'm going to cut the full stem off. So I've got that snip ability and I can change it up. I don't want to tuck them all in. I want them to be different heights. And if you have got glue all over, I know some of you like to use more glue than I do. If you have got glue all over it, then obviously you wouldn't use the stems. You would just glue these on top. So you've got those additional ways of playing. This means you choose your heights, you choose your elements, and you are in control. Let's place those pieces down. And I'm going to pop one more in this corner over here, just to balance out my florals. See how pretty they are? Just brings that just to the surface, little more visual oomph when the cup tone. Pretty as a picture. Let's work on the inside now. I've got the heron. Now what I've got here is a blank on the inside, okay, and I need to fill some of that space. So what I'm going to do as I open it, I'm just going to work with my corners. I want it to stand just slightly over that edge. There's an invite. So I'm using that invitation. Come inside and see what's inside the card. That's what we're trying to do. I've got mirrored vignettes, so I can use them either way. That gives me more power and control. A mirrored vignette, for those of you who are brand new today, and I know we get new viewers every single day, so hello to you all and big hugs. But a mirrored vignette is where we have the die cut image on both the back and the front. That artwork can be downloaded from the Carnation Crafts website for free. You do have to cut it in order to sell it, and obviously you need the die to cut it with. So once you've purchased the die, you can go and get your free artwork, and that will give you your base for going forward. This one I'm going to use in the same way, but on the opposite side. So now we're utilizing those mirrored vignettes. And so I've doubled up my chances, if you like, my ways of crafting. Let's pop this in. And let's seat this down. And now I've got that exactly where I want it to be. And I've got my beautiful, beautiful heron here. I just want to take a moment to look at that gorgeous colorway. Can you see the color of the yellows and the pinks in his legs, which bring forward the florals that we've got, both from the fox and the hare as well. Everything coming in exactly as it should be, right? All three colors taken care of in that heron. He is so beautiful. And now I have choices. Do I want him facing inwards, or do I want him just facing out? And that's where he'll be for me. He's going to face just outside. I'm going to guide him over to the top right hand corner, and that's going to allow him to have that the sort of composition impact. He's working in that diagonal. So I don't want to shape him out too much. If I shape him too much, this is going to squash him anyway, so it's not going to work out for me in that way, but I will add a little bit of dimension just to his head and just around to his neckline, working on Nick's cut lines and the team. It's not all Nick. He has a wonderful team of artists, so big hugs and love to them today as well. For those of you who did manage to get hold of the USB yesterday, I can tell you categorically that the team will already be pick packing and posting those if they haven't already. So I've got my silicone gel glue on his neck and head. Remember, I've shaped that out. So I want to maintain that. I know that's not going to get squashed by the front of my card, but for the rest of him, I'm going to need him to be flat. I need that card to close. So I'm utilizing adhesive in different ways. Glue is as much of a tool as a die or anything else. We still need the right adhesives for the right job. So my everyday glue, which has got this super, super low water content, so it sticks super fast, allows me to get the adhesion I need and the commitment I need. And then still, because we shaped out his neckline a little bit and we've got that graceful edging that we've got seated here, you can see that shadow coming off it because I'm using the pin flare, the silicone gel glue. And again, all of those elements available through the craft store. And I've got this wonderful finished product that's got this sneaky hidden hole, and that, my friends, is a split die. It's an over the edge card, and we craft differently with them. They're easy to do, and they give us this wonderful different silhouette on our cards, don't they? Something beautiful to play with. So I hope that helps somebody at home who has never worked with split dies. Don't be frightened of them. They're super simple to use. You just need a score line and you're working with that score line. That's it. Once you've conquered that, and it is not really anything to conquer. This is no Mount Everest that you need to climb. It's just super easy to do, but it's a different way of crafting. This is Wondrous Wildlife, and it is an extraordinary collection for you today on the deal of the day. This is 240823. We've got a fabulous show price for you today of $69.99, which is an incredible value for everything that you're getting in here. That gorgeous, beautiful, graceful heron, the Proud Hare, the beautiful curious fox, and then those white florals as well. All of that coming to you today. 240-823-69.99 until midnight tonight, at which point we are at $79.99. So do get in ahead of us and make sure you shop ahead. You can always come back and watch these tutorials at any time. Carnation are really dedicated to giving the customers education. You'll find all the education you need on the YouTube channel if you want to go back at any time. You'll find that on Carnation Crafts TV on YouTube. Please do hit the subscribe button. That makes sure that you're part of the team, so to speak, and when you hit the notification bell as well, you'll get told when we're going live. We never go live at midnight, so you don't need to worry about us waking you up at any time. That's weird. It's completely free to subscribe. Yes, Taz.
So we've had a lot of people commenting back on the question you asked about how long it takes for a card. So over on YouTube, Linda said if it's a simple one, about 20 minutes.
Nice.
Can take up to an hour, but sometimes cards brew in my brain overnight, so takes forever.
Yeah, I like that. That's true.
And then over on Facebook, we've got Diana who says between an hour to 1.5 hours.
Yeah, again, yeah, that would seem right to me.
We've got April who is saying, good morning, ladies, from Southern Illinois.
Oh, hi.
Just love getting my carnation fixed with Carla and the Carnation family. Making carnation cards is the most pleasant way to escape for a few in this crazy world and put our minds positively and self-creative expression. It doesn't matter the amount of time. Just why can't you be on every day, Carla? Lol.
You'd be sick of me. You'd be sick of me very fast.
Many of us just admire you. Thanks for
thank you.
Thanks for all you teach us. I think Taz should let us see her smiling more. She is family too. Bless you, Taz. Thank you for including me into that message, April. That's very sweet of you. Wonderful. You do not want to see the face. This is why I'm here, but thank you.
We've got a beautiful face.
We've got Linda who says for me an hour plus.
Yeah.
Michelle is saying depends on the complexity. It's the printing and the cutting out. Kate is saying, my problem is I always get sidetracked and end up making 5 or 6. It's never just one. Linda's saying at least an hour if my mojo is working. And then we've got Karen who says, hi, Carbon Miss Taz, from printing and the cutting, the vignettes, then designing the card, it takes me about 4 hours, but I love it for the love of crafting.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we all have such varied ways of working, don't we? And a lot of what we do is sort of more the thought process of the composition. And I think when anybody says that they've lost their crafting mojo, we all do. Listen, everybody loses their crafting mojo. I think the joy of working with the Carnation products is really, and here's the kicker, right? It's really easy to get your mojo back when you're working with Carnation because the artwork's there. So a lot of that blank canvas syndrome that we all get when we're looking at something that's just big and white, the joy of Carnation is, for instance, where I've got this beautiful fox and I've got this big white piece in front of me. If I was sitting at home and I was thinking, right, I'm gonna have to somehow fill that big space, where do I start? My brain's not working, I don't feel up to it. Well, all I need to do is just add in a vignette and suddenly I know where I'm going. I know if I can put him down and I can add a corner, actually that's all I need to do to make the card. And then from there my brain starts, because I can look at him and I can think, well, I could do some calligraphy at the side and write down a poem about a fox. And suddenly I've got something extraordinary, because it doesn't always have to be, you know, about overloading the card. I can put down a sentiment. So that's the power of Carnation. It's the artwork, that fundamental starting point that we all have with Carnation. Right, the next card that I'm doing a slightly different card base. I just want to be very quick about this. So I'm taking a piece of cardstock. I'm going to fold it in half. Again, you would use your scoring tool. Don't do what I do. You would never ever make a card this way. So use your scoring tool. I didn't bring one with me, I'm afraid. But then once I've got that, I'm going to fold this back amongst itself. I have got a proper card base in case everyone at Carnation is going, I hope she's not going to make a card with that. I'm not. So I've got that there. Then what I'm going to do is cut some of that top off. Now I'm doing it with a pair of scissors. You would obviously use your, you know, like a caterpillar or something. So I'm just going to cut this off, going across, okay? so that I've got my card base as such there. I'm then going to turn this over and I can stick it there and there, and then when I open my card, I've got something very different. I've got a different card base, okay? That's going to give me a different way of working. It gives me different layers and it gives me different dimension on my card. Super simple, but it's really effective and nice to work in that way. So let's look at the ones that the one that I've done, which is obviously neat. So I've got it there, and all I've done inside is use a Carnation sentiment stamp that says "You brighten my day." Their stamps are so pretty and so lovely, and so I just pop that on the inside and it's hidden by my mechanism. From there, I've then got this added piece, so I'm going to place that across, and to there they've got a kissing point at the center there. They meet, can you see? Because it's exactly the same piece of cardstock that I've cut from the top as I have from the bottom, so I know they're perfect partners. It's automatically going to match. So you're just working out the size of the card base that you want. Obviously the one I just showed you was A4. This one, for those of you who need to know, I know lots of you like to have your information, that is 8 inches by 5 3/4. The length this way doesn't actually matter, or the you know, the depth that way. It's actually to do with how far across. My advice is work with even numbers. It will help you in your scoring and it will help you get that perfect point. From here, I'm going to use my red liner tape. It's the strongest tape. It's the strongest adhesive we've got in the industry. And that allows us to have that better sticking point. While that's seated, I'm going to come in. There's ways and means of doing this. If you're just starting out, the best way is to lay these flat. This I know is going to stick to that point, so I can fold it, put that together with that, so I know that that's going to then stick because it's going to work in my mechanism in the way that I want it to. And then I've got this piece here, and so I've got that little kissing point in the middle, and that's just going to work through that way. Okay, so my mechanism is seated and I've got a different way of crafting. You could put a bouquet of flowers in there. We've got plenty of florals from Carnation to work with, lots of different things. So I just wanted to show you that as a quick way of doing your card bases. It's just pretty and easy. Now I have got my wonderful floral corner here. Look at that. That beautiful tone, isn't it just stunning? Now I'm going to work with this fairly flat, so I'm just going to use wet adhesive for it. So just placing this on here, covering my working there. So I've got that build, okay? Just super pretty. Now I've got extra pieces here that I can use and I can tuck in. So for this one, I'm going to place it here. You can see I've folded it where that score line is so that it just seats. So the first thing I'm going to do is place my adhesive on the back here, again using wet glue, keeping it flat, so that I can place that down. Okay, and then I can work with this piece so that when it opens, it will open as one. So I want to just lift that, hold it. Now that can be folded down. I'm not worried about having that little extra. It can tuck into there, it can do all kinds of things, but I'm not worried about it. I just need to make sure that it's stuck to that flat edge. That's my main focus point there. Okay, so once you've got your commitment in, that mechanism will just fold and open, and look how pretty that is. Okay, just make sure you get your sticking point. Mine is just moving about. It's very, very warm in the studio, so that does obviously affect my adhesion. Now I've got this, and so it's an extra panel. Okay, so I'm working that way. I'm going to use this as decoupage. So I'm actually going to utilize a full panel for decoupage. I'm going to cut it off in the same way I did with that flower. So I just wanted to show you that. Obviously I want to trim it. Can you see? I don't know, Taz, would you be so kind to just focus in for me? Sorry. I do put her into some awful positions. Sorry, Taz, thank you. Can you see where my flower ends? Just where my finger is there onto that little leaf. You can see how the flower protrudes. That means if I want to cut off this piece to make it the size I want, I've got the perfect cutting point. I can't cut that from behind in front of you, but it is there. So it means I can follow those lines with my scissors and I can snip into it, and that's going to allow me to cut it exactly where I want it to be. Again, control, control, control. And then I can just whip that one off as well because I've got all of my points. I can utilize that in a different way and you know, use it again. I don't need to dismiss it or discard it. Now I've got this, I want to add a little bit of dimension now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is work both backwards and forwards. I'm going to turn the vignette over, excuse me, and I'm going to do them as a bowl instead of a cup. Separate that out. So they're just slightly bowled over. There's just a little bit of dimension there. I'm going to come in with my silicone gel glue. Out. Out. Fill them. Fill those bowls. Seat this down. Now I'm going to work the alternative way. So making sure I've got those the right way, I'm going to cup them. So I've had the bowling out, now I'm going to have the cupping up. So I've changed. That's going to give me a higher dimension on these florals because I've bowled those up, so I've got the step. Plenty of silicone gel glue here. Now I get more height, more dimension, and I need them on the ones on the outside, not necessarily on that one. If I put it on that one, what's going to happen is that when the card closes, it's going to get in the way a little bit. So if I'm posting it, it's not going to be quite so smooth. I'll pop this one onto here, and then I've got my beautiful little fox. Okay, now he can stand over the edge, he can stand on this point here, and he can stand inside. You'd need to just chop his tail a little bit or fold him and he will just stand inside. Okay, it depends how you want him to be. I want him to be at the front, and I just want to make sure that's tucked just enough there, just while I work with him. And I used silicone gel glue. We pin our points. So I've got my florals there. I know I can move it when I need to, but at the minute I've got my points pinned, so composition wise I know where I'm working. I'm not going to do too much with him, but we will just do his snout, his head shape, and those wonderful ears. Then I'm going to take a much bigger ball tool here. Use the right tool for the job. That chest, that deserves some attention, doesn't it? It's so regal. He is absolutely stunning. So I'm going to come in with my ball tool, roll that around, and just give him that extra attention there, so that I've just got a bit more lift on there. Look how wonderful that is, those cut lines giving us that really intricate detailing. So now that I've got that, I can now place him. I've got the flowers in place, but now I want to sort of utilize them to help pin him down, but also to give me my grounding. I'm going to come in with that chest, and I'm going to put some silicone gel glue around the edge of him. Now I can lift my floral and place, and my other floral, and I can work now to where I've got him exactly where I want him to be, and I can use those florals just to seat on top of him, so he is beautifully part of that scenery, that story that we tell with Carnation. He is part of this wonderful kind of verdant stuff that's going on around him. Simple and elegant, isn't it? But that card shape lending itself there to the story that we tell. Okay, so just adding in those hints, those extra elements. Easy card making, but very, very sweet and very, very simple. Don't forget to use your sentiment stamps. They really sort of bring everything to life. And then look, when that's hidden and you've just got that element seated, there he is. Pretty, right? Because we're working with really strong artwork. That's the key point. We're working with really strong artwork. 240823, the Wondrous Wildlife collection. Show price today, $69.99. It's going to go up at midnight though, dudes, to $79.99. So get that discount while you can on the Carnation Crafts website, www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. While you're here today, if you're live, you can go to the new releases tab. It's all going to be sitting there for you, both the individuals and the collection itself, just seated for you to go straight to it to get whatever you want. Obviously, I will say this every single time, you're always going to get your value in the bundle. So get the collection if you can. Over 30% gone already. We are busy. We knew we would be. This is the most extraordinary set, isn't it? And you've seen how it comes together. You're going to be making some of the most powerful cards. Now, we've worked with the heron, we've worked with the fox. So to finish off, of course, we want to be working with that hare. That's the wrong demo I just pulled out. We were nearly making a very different collection then. Right, let's come in with that beautiful, beautiful hare and work with him. So, we have in our collections a ton of beautiful nested dies from Carnation and also a ton of gorgeous card shapes. I'm working with the scalloped edge nesting dies, which I love. They're very pretty. They've got a beautiful curve line on them. So I'm going to work with those, and I'm using the oval. And I've cut it twice, but then I've sort of cut it not quite in half, a little bit over halfway to create this kind of egg shape, if you like. And so I'm working with that because it's going to fit those gorgeous crescent florals, isn't it? So I'm going to take that, pull this back, and it's just scored there about 1/2 inch. Face that towards my body, shuffle the two together, get them into place before I commit, push down, place, card base sorted. Thank you very much. Let's come in with these stunning pinks. That crescent is so pretty. Let's create a full round. That oval just lending itself perfectly, doesn't it? We can walk into the scene now. So that's again where we create that storytelling element that Carnation are so wonderful for. I'm going to seat it slightly off the edge. Okay, so I don't want it to be directly, I don't want it to be too busy. Okay, so I am taking it over the edge of that card. And I love the fact that I've got these gorgeous little hole detail, if you see what I mean, going through. And that allows that sort of woven look to come through that we're seeing here. It's really, really pretty. Let's go with some wet adhesive, knowing that I only want it to be on the inside pieces. If I put it on the externals, all I'm going to do is get myself into a very sticky mess on my desk. And that ain't going to be doing me any favours. Let's get that woven piece looking in all its finery. Just making sure I don't seat it off the edge at the bottom. If you do, you're going to want to snip that so it's straight, otherwise your card's going to fall over. Again, let's just work in on the inside. Just so we've got those elements secured and committed down. Mirroring what I've done on the other side, those mirrored vignettes. They're the biggest boon, aren't they? And just piecing in, okay? Now, I've got my wonderful hares. I just want to have a look at him a minute. We were talking about the heron having all of those colours involved, and actually the fox has the same. I just forgot to show you it. I've got two seated here. We've got the purples coming through from the flowers. We've also got that gorgeous, gorgeous pink tone. If you're very eagle-eyed here, you'll also see at the edge you have got a slight yellow tinge. So all those floral colours are now coming in together. I've got two of them because I can work my magic with mirrored vignette, which is just wonderful. And I can seat them together this way so they're looking at each other, or I can seat them together this way so they're just looking away from each other. On a composition basis, it depends what you want, right? Do you want to have a, you know, a gap in between? Do you want that white space? Or do you want them, see, I want them obviously to be looking together because that's the way I'm doing mine, but you can have them both ways. But I love the way that they form this glorious kind of shape between them when you seat them just slightly over each other. It's that mirrored effect and it's very pretty. Let's come in and get their haunches just puffed out. So just rotating around, using those cut lines that have been put there so I can really puff out the chest. I can take advantage of the fact that the fibres in the paper are broken. Okay, so I've got my first one seated, pull his lugs forward. Now, I'm not going to glue their ears because I like the sort of freedom of them, and I think their ears are so pretty. So I am going to leave his ears exactly where they are. Just remember, when you're working with the mirrors, you need to make sure that you have balled them out the right way. It's really tempting to do them both on the same side, but it won't do you any favours. And let's puff out these chests and the haunches again. You're working with the musculature of the animal. It's wonderful feet. Neck, pull, ears, pull. And then I've got that glorious shape in, okay? Now let's come in with some silicone gel glue. And I'm going to build here, so I am going to put quite a significant amount on. I'm going to utilise the fact that I've got such a lot of space on him. So certainly filling in nicely on his tummy. And the other place that I really want to have raised is his head. Little bit just on his chest. I'm not too worried. That's more for adhesion than anything else. I'm going to very gently just lay him down. I don't want to commit until I've got the other one, of course, because I need to know where I'm committing to. On his head, his haunches, and a little bit just on his chest for adhesion. And make sure I've got these into the right place. And there I can seat them. So they're looking and gazing at each other. Now, let's fill in some extra space here. I've got white space at the top, so I'm going to manipulate it. Let's look at some of these purples, these pinks. I don't want to just stick with the pinks. I want to draw in some extra colour, and that's what we're going to do here. So working with the right size ball tool. Work round. Just a little bit of silicone gel glue there. Just let me move his lugs. There. Just a bit lower than my frame. And again, just slightly off there. There we go. And then I'm going to piece in my beautiful pink. I love these florals so much. I'm so smitten with them. Colour's so important, isn't it? It gives us such a massive value in what we do. Bring in another of the purples, this time just the bud. And I'm going to place it directly underneath that pink. Then I'm going to come in now with my florals. I've got my whites, so I'm going to cool those tones down just a little. So the first thing I'm going to do is piece these in just in that center point, just to break up some of that color. And we're just placing in. So I've got this now, this beautiful fullness in the center. So we're not just focusing detail-wise on those two hairs, we've actually got that center point coming down. And now only using silicone gel glue, I'm not shaping these at all. I'm going to tuck in, first of all, hold on, I could do with my tweezers. Taz, when we go and sort for break, can you remind me tweezers? I want to bring up my fancy tweezers. And then I've got these ones here. Now I'm going to snip the stems off these. I will leave a little bit, but not as much. Coming in with just some wet glue this time, no silicone gel glue here. I just want them laid flat. Let's just add that little bit more fullness where it just tucks behind. And lays in. So we now have that center point. Now I can adjust my hairs. And we've formed essentially a love heart in the middle. So we create that romance, that idea of the card having that sort of beautiful romance about it, and the colours lend itself so well to that. So that is your hair. Then we've got your curious fox and your split die over the edge. Graceful, let me do it that side for you, Graceful Heron. Really easy, beautiful cards that are created with a collection that is so dynamic, so versatile and so inspirational just to look at. This is creating on the next level. The artwork is just stupendously good. It's your Wondrous Wildlife collection, 240823. Show price of $69.99, a normal price of $79.99. That's going to hit at midnight tonight, guys. So getting this collection for an extra £10 off, it's a thing to do today. You can't get that tomorrow if you're watching then. You can use the QR code at the bottom of the screen. That'll take you straight to the product, absolutely directly to it. It is obviously very busy. These are incredible. They do go so well with Nature's Grace. It is a wonderful expansion pack. For those of you who don't know Nature's Grace, feel free to pop that into the search bar on the Carnation Crafts website, where it'll take you directly to the items. You can go and have a look at all the inspiration that's there for it and all the other elements as well. See how you can build all these collections together, because they're just so glorious. It's a really wonderful expansion pack that we've got today. Again, 240823. Do go to that new releases tab on the Carnation website, take you straight there. You can get your individuals. You can also get the full collection there. It's all designed to make your life as easy as we possibly can. And that's the joy of having the brand new website. We are going to be back with you at 12 p.m. because we've got the brand new USB. And guys, it's got sheer delight on it. It is the best USB, as far as I'm concerned, that Carnation have ever released. The extra card shapes are insane. There's so much going on with that USB. I can't wait for you to see it if you haven't seen it already. If you did manage to catch it yesterday, I think you'll agree it's just awesome. Absolutely awesome. So we'll be back with you at 12 p.m. If you've got any questions, please do let us know, and we will answer everything we can about digital crafting for you, for those of you who are brand new to it. In the meantime, go and have a brew, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in an hour. Bye.